Happy Sunday, everybody. Thought I would just put out a quick video on nothing really, kind of like the Seinfeld series. Maybe explain a little bit about me, who I am, what I do, where I live, that kind of stuff. That's my house. I'm on just a touch over 13 acres. And I was in Arizona for 2.5 years. Too many rattlesnakes, brown recluse, black widow, scorpions, sand spiders, and so on. Got real tired of having to watch where you put your feet and hands at all times, even in the house. We had the pest guy out every 3 months, but there were still critters in the house that were pretty unnerving. And decided to come back here. Probably should have waited till the spring, because winter in Arizona is actually pretty nice. But I came out here, didn't have time to put my firewood together, so everything's a mess, overgrown. The house was closed up for 2.5 years, and again, I thought I'd just make a quick video explaining a little bit about me, so you know the guy behind the videos. That's my Ram 2017 Eco Diesel 4x4 Longhorn. That's my trailer, my crappy little shed. I don't have a garage, so everything gets to live outdoors. The Cub Challenger, I had to use the cover to cover that pile of firewood because they called for rain the other day, which wound up turning to snow. So I should have just covered the Challenger instead. But I've got plans for, actually I'm considering moving, and I'd really like to have a cabin on 50 or more acres off the grid. Workshop, garage, barn, have my horses. My horses are boarded someplace right now because my pasture was a nightmare. And all the fence line was down, so there was no way it was containing them, and everything was overgrown. I just didn't have the time to fix that, to have them here, so they are currently being boarded. I thought maybe I'd take you for a quick walk around my property. Not all of it, some of it. That was my chicken coop back there. The beech tree fell on top of it and crushed it sometime while we were gone, so that's kind of a bummer. I'll have to fix that in the spring. Thankfully I don't have any chickens at this point, but that's a no-brainer. Chickens, free range, free eggs, and I guess it's pretty healthy because I know for a fact there's no chemicals or hormones or anything weird like that in them. So, and I do have a bit of a cold, so you know, please excuse my wheezing and sniffing and so on and so forth. So anyway, this is my 13 acres. I've got deer track all over the place. There are gobs of deer here, as turkey, and a couple of pheasant and a couple of grouse, but they seem to be far and few between, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. I was actually thinking of buying some babies and raising some pheasants, because they're a pretty cool bird, and they're yummy too. This is a rain runoff, which is now frozen pretty solid. Very dangerous, so if I fall, y'all can laugh. Okay, I didn't fall. I'm located in Northeast Pennsylvania. My real name is Sean, and my middle name is Daniel, and my other middle name is Steven, hence my YouTube username, Stevie Dan. Somebody just bought that field on the other side of my property. And I can see them without the camera. There it is. And they immediately posted it. I think in the last 10 years that I've lived here, I've been over there twice. But I'm guessing they're hunters and they don't want anybody over there. It's a little bit of deer potty. It's been there a while. Temperature today is about 28 Fahrenheit. They're calling for some serious cold here in the next few days. Today's Sunday. They're calling Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday below zero. 12 below zero actually Wednesday night. We haven't had it cold enough to melt. So I'm not sure what these are. They've been snowed upon since they were made. But they're big tracks. We have a lot of black bear around here, so possibly. So basically my property is a lot of white oak, hemlock, and maple, which incidentally have been dying off big time. We also have a lot of beech trees here. They seem to be doing well, but they have a real low root base. And if we have a lot of rain, which seems to be typical here these days, they will blow over in high winds. Compared to Arizona, these winds are baby. We've had 50, 60 mile an hour winds easy in Arizona. Pretty frequently, actually. But here, 35 mile an hour winds, everybody's panicking. But it's enough to take down the beech trees if the ground is saturated. This guy's serious. He's got posted signs every 6 feet. Oh, that's a deer track. A lot of doe around here. Buck are a little harder to come by. Since I got back in October, I think I've seen 3 different buck on my property. I do hunt, but I was nowhere near ready to hunt this year. I started a new job at a corporation that I'm not allowed to mention on social media, but I build fire engines for fire departments around the world. We're actually working on one now that's going to the Philippines. And it's pretty cool, I guess, to know that you're building equipment that could be saving lives. That's a pretty big tree right there. But looking at the top now, it looks like it's dead also. Yeah, I'm not sure what's killing all these trees around here, but it's pretty sad. These trees, they were hemlock. And we had a tornado come through here, believe it or not, about 5 years ago. And of course it was raining cats and dogs, so the ground was real soft. And it took these trees down right at the root base. Just blew them over. And if you walk up to them, you can actually see how shallow the root base is on these trees. It was real early in the morning, and although it didn't sound like a freight train like most people say it does, it was pretty loud. Just sounded like big winds. I'm not sure what this is. Before I went to Arizona, I was pretty heavy into outdoor survival, and I learned a lot about what you can eat around here. Pine needle tea, that kind of thing. This is a big root base, but look how shallow that is. You think for a tree that size, it's got to be 100 years old. You think that root base would be so deep, it'd be safe, but nope. The winds just blew it right down. Made a mess because actually this was part of my horse trail. Used to ride my horses through here, and I'm sure I will again once I get them back and get this cleaned up. A lot of work. But there's trees down everywhere. And at one point I had this so it was like a park. None of this was on the ground. It was pretty clean and open. We had ice here the other day. You can tell ice and wind blowing all of the twigs off of the pine trees. They're all laying on the ground. Another deer track. Down there is a small stream that borders my property. So according to the real estate laws of Pennsylvania, any unnavigable waters, property owners own to the center. So a lot of good that does me. It's probably 12 feet wide, different locations, but it does have a lot of crawfish in it. And I have harvested and eaten some of those. That runoff I showed you a little bit ago, we're going to come up on top of it. And I'll show you how deep it gouged out over here. A lot of these hemlock trees in this particular area. It's kind of weird because on the other side of my property there aren't any. So this is the same area that, or I should say it's the same runoff that has created this particular area. And it's kind of cool. I guess it makes a natural barrier. I had thought about a couple, probably 10 years ago now, I had an Allis-Chalmers HD4 track loader. And I thought about moving dirt in right around here and filling this in across to the top, and that would have made probably a 15 or 18 foot deep pond right here. And how often we get rain, it would have stayed full pretty much with no problems. But it's one of those things I never got to. You can see there's more trees down back there. That's still my property. Seemed like the hemlocks took the biggest hit when that when that tornado came through. But it really made a mess of things. And I was so depressed because I really had this place sparkling. Let's see if I can kill myself coming down and back up this. Yeah, you can hear the water running a little bit. And you can see how high that is. I'm standing at the bottom, of course. So this would have been pretty cool, you know, to have as a pond. Now, can I get up the other side? If I do slip and fall and scream like a girl, I will leave it on the video. I was a security specialist in the Air Force, so I have on my cold winter, cold weather military boots. So they got pretty good traction. Had to pause that for a minute. Felt the need to write my name in the snow. I guess that's not appropriate to put on YouTube. So this is the back side of my property. And we kind of move away from the hemlocks. Deer spend a lot of time back here. You can see where they've been bedding down. I guess they feel safe back here. There's 4 spots right here. Actually gives them a good field of view, I guess. They can see if anything's coming for quite a ways. In front of them anyway. Not too much behind them. There's a hill right there. But they know what they're doing. I don't know if this one's gonna make it or not. This is a baby. Most of the branches are dead, huh? Yeah, it's a baby hemlock. I like pine trees, especially when they're covered in snow. Yeah, but that's for the most part, branch-wise anyways, dead. Probably my favorite tree is a white birch. Don't have many of those on my property. Did have a lot of the silver birch, or the root beer birch, and they actually smell like root beer. It's my horse running, left unattended for 2.5 years, so that needs some love to get it back to usability. It's the other side of my property. Couple little crappy ponds up there, and the overflow runs down this way through here, which runs into the adjoining property's pond back there. Can't see it so well, but there is a pond back there. You know what, I think I will take you up to that big maple tree that the tornado took down. Oh, and I used to have a big pear tree right here, but the same storm took that tree down. The only fruit tree on my property that actually produced pears wiped out. That was another depressing day. So yeah, like I was saying before, I don't know if any of you have seen Boss of the Swamp YouTube page, but that guy's living the dream, and that's what I want to do. Yeah, here's the pond runoff. And this never freezes, I guess, because it's always running. Come out here in a couple days when it's 12 or 13 below zero, as the forecast says anyway, and this will still be running. These trees are sent from the devil. You've got these spikes all over them. I don't know if they're crabapple or what the heck they are. But boy, you don't want to walk into one of them in the dark. right over here is where I should have made the pond, because this is a natural spring. And for the most part, this too is wet year-round, doesn't freeze. So yeah, I should have cut that pond right around in here. I've got banks on a couple of sides. It would have been a lot easier than where I did put them. Yeah, I did those with my Allis-Chalmers HD4. Might have some fox track right here. Boatloads of fox around here. They took out 9 of my chickens in one day some years back, and I was livid. Another end of my horse pasture here. They get a lot of room, about 2.5 acres, but again, the weather, trees, so forth is taking them down. A lot of work. Some rabbit track. Older, but still rabbit. More deer. Again, I apologize about the body noises. Being half sick anyway sucks. Well, I haven't been out here in a while, but this tree had to have fallen in the last 30 days or so, because when I first got back here, I was out here once or twice, and I was extremely surprised. This is another maple, of course, but that tree was dying from the inside out. There was no way I was cutting it down. I was going to let nature take its course, and apparently it has. But this is huge. I mean, you can fit inside of here. So another maple gone. I'd like to know why. It looks burnt, but it definitely isn't. So that sucks. A lot of good firewood there, but man, I'd rather have the tree than the firewood. Yeah, this thing was pretty big. My house in the distance. This was another part of my horse trail. This was their exercise hill. This helped them build stamina, muscle tone. There's those big tracks again. Geez, it almost looks like a horse. I don't know whose it would have been. Not a horse. He didn't come through this little spot. They're too short to be human. Unless they're wearing horse boots. This wall is my property line. These stone walls, man, imagine the tenacity 150 years ago. You needed to keep your livestock in. So what did you do? You picked up all the field stone and you built stone walls. And these things go a long way. A lot of work here, it's crazy. And that one is the one that the tornado took down. And this one's even bigger than the one that just came down. And again, it's a maple tree. But the positive to this is, at least the last summer I was here anyway, this branch still had leaves on it. So it was still alive. So we definitely won't be messing with that one. And I hope that it makes it. But now that I see this side, it wasn't like that before. You know, 2.5 years ago. So this one is doomed as well. So depressing. And you just look around, you can see all the trees that have come down. And you can tell by the way the bark looks what's standing dead. It's sad. This is a deer crossing here. There's a break in the stone wall. They come through here a lot. Now this tree, I don't know, that actually the bark looks like a big old cherry tree. It's another big one, but that hole there, so I'm guessing the majority of that's hollow. But that hole in the fall when I got back here, early winter I guess, there were a huge swarm of honeybees. So there's no doubt in my mind they've got a huge honeybee hive in there. And that's not on my property. Otherwise I'd be trying to relocate them to a hive. So I guess I won't bore you too much longer. One last touch here. I guess we're on the side where the beech trees are. That's a beech. That younger one, there's a beech. That beech just slapped me in the face. That big one right there's a beech. Horses love the beech leaves. When they're out here, they chew the leaves off as high as they can get in the summer. More beech trees. They actually make good firewood too. They burn hot and slow. See, a couple of these here aren't doing so well. A lot of damage. Looks like somebody's been shooting them, but we have a woodpecker out here called the downy woodpecker. And I've seen them. They'll actually go around a tree. And they'll put a hole here, 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 all the way around. Then they'll leave. And as the sap starts to flow, aphids and so forth come out to drink the sap. And then the downies come back and eat the aphids. Pretty smart. This one here is a goner. It's hanging on though. That branch up there, I can tell you it's still alive. But it won't be long. It's gonna lose the fight. It's sad, I swear. I don't know what's killing all these trees, but mostly the maples. Alright guys, if you hung in this far, I appreciate it. I got some firewood to split. So, y'all enjoy your day. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.